Hello, everyone. How are you? How's everyone feeling after Amber's presentation? Good. Let me know in the comments how you feel, if you want. Like, how do you feel after that meeting your guardian angel? Calm. Good. Awesome. Okay, well, I am Melanie. I help women recover from high control religious and cultural conditioning. I help them reclaim their nervous systems and I help them reconnect to their intuitive power. And in this session, I'm not here to add another to-do list to your healing journey. We're here to name the leaks, the sneaky ways that you're still giving your energy away, and how to start sealing them gently, sustainably, and sovereignly. And can everyone see my screen? Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. Sometimes it's nice to have something to look at. But before we talk about sovereignty, let's arrive in it. So I invite you, if you feel comfortable, if you feel safe, to close your eyes and inhale through your nose and exhale. And really feel into your body. Feel your seat, feel your skin, and just really arrive in your body. There's no need to be anywhere but here. This conversation that we're going to have doesn't require you to perform anything or prove yourself. You're just being the human being that you are. So, you can open your eyes again. You don't have to be raised religious to be trained into obedience. It's in the way that we're told to be quiet, accommodating, grateful, palatable to people, right? It's in the way that our nervous systems learn to override discomfort to keep the peace. Obedience shows up in our bodies. It tightens before we say no. Sometimes we'll smile when we really just want to leave. And sometimes it's explaining ourselves to death. Have you ever felt the need to obey show up in your body? Like, have you ever felt it somewhere in your body? Let me know in the comments and feel free to also come off of mute. It doesn't bother me. Um, for me, it usually shows up in my sacral chakra whenever I'm like, "Ooh, I need to obey, or I need to like show up nicely," right? Like it shows up in my sacral, which is kind of interesting because in human design, my authority is my sacral, so it's a little weird. Um, let's see, sacral and solar plexus. Yeah, yeah, it's like a tightness, right? It's like a you literally go. And you're like, oh, I gotta do what I feel like I have to do, right? In your head, in your chest, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I feel like my heart will skip a beat, right? Your throat, yep. Throat chakra, yeah. Yeah, it's hard for me to kind of speak out. Or it used to be hard for me to speak out. Now I say whatever's on my mind. Sacral and solar plexus also, especially at work, right? Yeah, because we've been trained from school, right? Because that's really what school was created for, is to teach us to be quiet and to be palatable and to obey and follow everything at work, right? So we've all been trained since the age of 5. Oh, that's interesting. Your jaw and your shoulders. So that's probably like around your neck, your throat. Yeah. Interesting answers. So I thought I was doing everything right. I was healing, I was meditating, I was doing some coaching, I was journaling, I was doing all the breath work, all that stuff. I was regulating the hell out of my nervous system. But under the surface, I was still performing calm. It wasn't real. You know what I mean? I was still softening my edges. I was still being the good girl version of a witch, right? Because that's what I am. I was palatable. I was pleasing. I didn't want to be too loud. I wanted to be beautiful for Instagram, right? Like have that perfect image, right? And I wasn't physically in a church anymore, but I was still obeying. Um, and then my body stopped asking politely. And you'll see my sweet little dog there. And yes, she's wearing pearls. A few years ago, I was doing what lots of moms do. I was putting my kids on the bus. I was putting my son on the bus. And the most mundane, everyday moment, right? Except that, bye, sweetheart, I love you, turned around and I like fell into the ditch and I broke my foot in two places. And the pain was immediate. But what hit even harder was the realization that I hadn't been listening. I'd been exhausted. I was burnt out. I was overdoing everything. And spirit literally was like, nope, you're going to be on bed rest for 6 weeks. And I remember lying there in the gutter crying, not just from the pain, but from just the sheer rage that I'd done everything right and I was still falling apart. My body had still failed me. And eventually, after I got over myself, it clicked that this was more because I was really angry when that happened. I was like, "Ugh, I'm doing everything and still, right? I finally realized that it was more than just about a broken foot. It was about how I had always been trying to break myself to fit in to somebody else's role, even if it was in the spiritual world. Um, I was trying to be the perfect single mom, doing everything and being everyone for my kids. I was the spiritual good girl. I was the over-functioning caretaker in a world that fed off of my depletion. And that injury was Spirit's way of saying, girl, stop and listen, and eventually reclaim a way of living that actually nourished me instead of drained me. Have you ever had Spirit like just stop you in your tracks, literally like it did me? Let me know in the comments, or again, come off of mute. Yes. Ugh, it's awful. It's like, okay, I see you. Oh no, you lost your job. Yes. Yes. Sometimes it's like I feel like spirit will kind of throw little pebbles. And before I broke my foot, I had back pain. I mean, I was born with back issues, but I had like really bad back pain. I had migraines, week-long migraines, right? And then eventually, and I feel like that was spirit kind of throwing pebbles at me, like, hey, I'm trying to get your attention here. Slow down and listen. And then eventually it was like, okay, cool. You're not going to listen. I'm going to lay you out. And finally, I got the message. Um, so yeah. All right. So why do we ignore the signals? We spiritualize exhaustion, we rationalize depletion. Well, it's just I'm a mom. I'm gonna be depleted, right? We normalize suffering. We think that if we're tired, we just need to rest. But I don't know about you, but I know I have sometimes felt like I could sleep for days, maybe weeks, and it still wouldn't be enough. That's because your rest still isn't reaching your nervous system because your nervous system is in constant overdrive from trying to stay calm or good or low maintenance, right? I ignored my exhaustion, like just sheer exhaustion, for months. I spiritualized it. I told myself that I was just processing. I was holding space for my kids or my friends or whoever was going through their stuff, right? Or I was just moving through a season. I just turned 45 or whatever. That's why, right? Or maybe it was the moon. It's Mercury retrograde. Maybe that's why, right? But really, I was just constantly leaking. and leaking my energy. And I had no idea that that's what it was. So, obedience, even when you leave something like religion or a really structured environment, obedience sounds like I'm fine. Your partner, your how you doing? I'm fine. Or no worries, I've got it. I'm cool. Everything's fine. Or it's okay. I don't mind. I really don't mind. It's not that big of a deal. I've said all three of those so many times. But these phrases aren't just words. They are spells that we cast when we don't believe that we're allowed to take up space or say no, or we need something without guilt. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, I want water or whatever. Like when I was laid up with my broken foot, I felt bad. I felt guilty, even though I was technically couldn't even move. Hey, daughter or son, can you get me a glass of water? I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm such a pain. I'm sorry, right? We shouldn't feel guilty for needing water. And most of these habits and ways of thinking are learned when we're young from church, from families, from school, like I said, from society. But obedience is not always from religions, and it's also a survival in systems that punish your fullness. Like we're punished if we show up authentically and in our complete selves, right? And then we're we're just trained to be small. So when you stop leaking your energy, you start to rest without guilt. Um, I well, I'll tell you that story later. And you start to honor your actual no and trust your intuitive yes. So when I started naming my energy leaks, and not shame them, not try to fix them, I realized how many were rooted in old obedience patterns. I wasn't lazy. I was still unconsciously obeying systems that said my value came from being useful and from being quiet and from being the sweet, happy woman, right? And reclaiming my energy didn't come from doing more. It came from remembering that I was never meant to obey in the first place, which is one of the first things that we're taught, right? Obey or God's going to get mad. I say living the dream. Johanna says, I say living the dream, and I totally don't mean it. Yeah, it's more of a nightmare, right? Although I've kind of followed that up before. I'll be like, yeah, I'm living the dream or a nightmare because it really feels like a nightmare. So, sovereignty isn't a mood board or a pretty layout on Instagram or anything like that. It's a body state. So, what does it look like? It's recognizing your no before it becomes resentment. It's a solid no is a full sentence. No. It's letting discomfort exist without rescuing everyone from it. When your partner or your child or your best friend or someone is going through it, it's okay to just sit there with them and hold space for them and not feel like, oh my God, I got to fix you, I got to heal you, and I got to do all this. No, just let them exist. Let the discomfort exist. It's okay. It's resting without guilt. Um, so one day I was just doing stuff. I don't remember what I was, but I was working and I realized that I hadn't paid the water bill, but I didn't have the money for it. And my body was just like we're tired. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go take a nap. And I went and I took a nap and I woke up and I did it without guilt. I woke up and I checked my phone and somebody had sent me cash just out of the blue. It wasn't a client, it wasn't something that I sold, it wasn't for work that I had done. It was just somebody just sent me money for nothing. Just, hey, I was just thinking of you and thought you could use it. And I was like, oh my God, I totally can. I can pay my water bill. I literally got paid to take a nap. And when you really like feel that and you really like, you know what? My body needs this, and I trust that everything will be provided for outside of that. It really does happen. So it's not just becoming healed, it's becoming whole with what already is, what you already are. How would you feel if you didn't have to perform your healing and instead you actually like felt it in your body? How would it feel if you started integrating it into your body, your healing? Let me know in the comments. And again, feel free to come off of mute. I love chatting with people. Tingly, yeah. Lance, you'd feel great. Yeah. Peaceful, yes. Empowering, yes, Lindsay. That's how I feel. I feel empowered and I feel at peace because it's like I just let it go and it's like, cool, I don't have to worry about that anymore. One less thing. The 6 kids is enough. Okay. All right. So that was quick. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions or anything about what I was talking about today?
Hi, Melanie. Can you hear me? This is
Hi.
Christine.
Yes. Hi,
Oh, hi.
Christine.
So I just actually wanted to give you a little story because I have talked through Amber's presentation and this presentation during my awakening, which actually started in April. And the first thing I said was, did I die? Because it just kind of happened and things just started rolling. And I started intuitively knowing that something weird was going on at work with my supervisor. And what I find is that I have actually seen a lot of illusions kind of break down throughout my job while I was working there. And I started using my no to let this person know that I was not going to live their illusion and that I knew what I was doing was accurate and correct. And it kind of started that downward spiral. This is spirit kicking me in the rear end saying, girl, you don't need to be here anymore. This is not your purpose any longer. But
Yes.
I started speaking up, and actually I did tell my my boss one day that she was treating me like a 16-year-old child and she was utilizing a critical parent type leadership towards me, which actually ended up in my in my separation papers for my final my final review. Nevertheless, what I find is that since that has happened, and it kind of ties into both, it ties into the soul awakening, it also ties into what you're talking about as far as sovereignty. I have found so many more connections with the spirit world, with my higher self. I get angel numbers like you would not believe. Like today, like I said, I started using my creative side. I started going through and looking at different career options. And while I was doing that, I'm getting 1111, 1211, 1222, 333, 666, 555. All of these things just hammering at me for the past like 3 hours, starting at 1111. And that was my spirit saying to me, because you're choosing, and I had actually made the choice not to go back into an office environment and to try to find something remote so that I can have my sovereignty and I can feel good about where I'm at. But between the soul awakening and everything, and I'm sorry, I'm just kind of tying it all in for you guys,
Totally
but
fine.
between all of it, and the angel numbers that I continuously get, I see that things just move in a good order. And
Mm-hmm.
and you said about the feathers. I actually had a bunny that sat with me, a baby bunny. I found it in my skimmer. I thought it was dead. It was alive, and it was on Friday. And that bunny sat with me for 3 hours. I kid you not, until it
Oh,
felt a
wow.
little better. It even slept with me on a recliner out by my pool, and then finally bounced away. But that I know that my spirit's with me. I know that my guardian angel's with me, that my higher self is guiding my direction because of the fact that I'm choosing sovereignty over obedience, and because of the fact that I was lucky enough to have that soul awakening. So
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for
you're very
sharing.
welcome.
Yeah, it was I kind of had the same thing a couple of years ago. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't work in corporate anymore. It sucked my soul, and I just could not do it. And I was sitting in meditation, and I couldn't do it because they were making me obey. And I don't like to obey by nature. Um, and it was I was selling insurance, health insurance virtually. So because they didn't trust anybody, they had a camera on me, and I had to have a camera on 24/7 and if I had to go to the bathroom, I had to ask for permission. And I'm like, what am I, 5? Like, that's ridiculous. And heaven forbid I take more than 2 minutes to go to the bathroom. If my kid was sick, it was ridiculous. So it sucked my soul. And I was like, I gotta leave. But also, single mom of 6, I gotta pick hello, I've got these kids to feed, right? How am I gonna do this? And I was sitting in meditation, and they just showed me a an image of like me just literally walking off a cliff, and them providing the safety net, and like they were going to do the safety net. And after that, yeah, just like, and I quit my job. I said I have no plan. I'm just going to do it. And I had no like it on a human level, it was very reckless, very reckless. But on a spiritual level, like I just literally just did it. And like you said, everything just started falling into place. And once I just kind of let go of control and surrendered and trusted and just listened to my sovereign body, and it was everything, it was just so much easier and so much more peaceful and so empowering. And now I'm like, you couldn't pay me enough to go back and work in a corporate environment. No way. No way.
Well,
Oh
and
my
Melanie,
goodness.
to be honest, I mean, at first I had the fear and I knew that I was going to be fired, but I knew I had to stick with my truth. And I knew that this was part of a karmic loop that I had been going through for several years because I had moved positions a couple times. But yes, I totally agree with you. Just the thing is I just want something that's going to pay the bills and then find
Yes.
something where I can be helpful in a different way and provide support to people because the way that it was going, I'm not there to stroke anybody's ego. I just want to be the person that helps the people we were providing services to. And it just felt like it was more of an ego stroke for the people that were supervising me. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. You couldn't pay me
Yeah.
enough to go back.
Yeah. And when you, and I realized too that I kind of had to let go of the how. Like, I don't know how, I mean, it's a little more stable now, so I do know how the bills are going to be paid. But in those beginning stages, I really had to let go of the how and just I trust that it's going to work out because I am stepping forward in what I know spirit is leading me towards. And
Right.
spirit is not going to lead me to something and then let me fail, let me be homeless with children. Like that's spirit wouldn't do that,
Right.
right?
Right. And the
Uh,
thing is that from what I see, from what I've been going through, and I'm only saying this because in case anybody else is going through this, I mean, I'm not just sitting and waiting for something to come to me. I am putting in some work, but I'm also knowing what is good for me and what is not good for me intuitively.
yes.
I'm
Hmm.
utilizing those clair senses. So, and sitting in stillness with myself so that I can figure out, is this really the direction I want to go? Um,
Right.
but yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
I
I
go
didn't sit
ahead.
on the couch eating bonbons all day long,
Right.
being like, well,
Correct.
spirit's gonna pay my bills, I'm
Yep.
good, right?
Yep.
Like, no, I worked. I worked, but it didn't feel like work because I loved it. And every decision, should I sign up for this course? I tapped into my body and I felt, okay, is this spirit and is this what I need to do? Right? Any whatever software to sign up for. Should I do this? Even something as silly as that. Should I use Squarespace or this for my website, right? I even tapped into my body for that because that's this is what spirit has given us to communicate, you know?
Yes.
And just listen and trust, but you do have to take a lot, what I like to call it aligned action. It's aligned with I'm taking those steps and just trusting that everything will fall into place because I'm taking the aligned action that's aligned with my sovereignty that I tap into in my body.
Okay, so I'm going to close just thanking both of you very much. You've been very enlightening for me for the past 2 hours, and I truly appreciate all the love and support that you've provided for all of us.
Of
So thank you.
course. Thank you for being here and thank you for sharing. It was beautiful. Let's see, Joanna, during Amber's meditation earlier, I had the seraphim come in, apparently part of my light team. Oh, that's cool. It felt like coming through for all of us. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Oh, that's wonderful. Does anyone else have anything to share? I went a little short today.
Hi, Melanie. It's Lance. How are you?
Hi, Lance. I'm good. How are you?
Great. Hey, great information.
Thank you.
I think going from obedient to trying to be sovereign and all that. I mean, what are the steps that you do to speak to others, to in your family and friends when you start,
Mm.
gaining some of this because they don't understand. So, I mean, you can't jump it all in at once, I'm sure. But what do you recommend? Where do you start?
Well, I've always been the black sheep. And I probably most of us have. I've always been the weird one. I've always of my family and my friends, and I've always been the that's just Melanie. Like just let her be. And I didn't really have much pushback. Like it was just kind of like, yep, that's Melanie. And when I first like I had purple hair, I got like the tattoo. Like I am the daughter of a Baptist preacher and I had purple hair, tattoos and face piercings. Like, come on. Um, so they kind of like it was like, oh, that's just Melanie. And they didn't really say anything. And I'm I'm kind of, as I look back on it, I'm kind of wondering if energetically I just kind of closed that off. I was like, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm not going to answer for any questions. So there no questions came. Um, they did ask, on a human level, okay, cool, but how are you going to pay your bills? And I was like, don't worry about it. I've got it figured out. I'm gonna, I'm doing consulting. Oh, okay, great. How many clients do you have? I've got clients. Don't worry about it. Like I'm 48 years old. I'm fine. Leave me alone. So yeah, it is kind of a challenge, but yeah, it wasn't too different from how they already know me.
Can I say something quick?
Yes, of course.
What I found was I think I had a harder time stepping into my truth and my sovereignty than even some of the people around me, where like I felt like I had to come at it like ready, probably trying to still be obedient, being like, well, here's all the reasons why I'm doing it and why it makes sense and why it's going to work, where they're just like, cool, that's really
Yeah.
inspiring, was what I heard, was like what you're doing is really inspiring. And that was like not the answer actually that I expected to get. Like I thought I was gonna have to like fight my way for it and prove it, but it was like, that's really inspiring. I wish I could do that. Maybe I can do that. How did you do that? That's more of actually what I
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, the few people who did actually ask and I felt safe enough to actually tell them what I was doing, they were like, "Oh my God, like only you could do that." And not only you, but like of all the people I know, you could do that. And I wish I could do that. I wish I had the chutzpah that you have. Um, so yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
So, um, I'm the oldest sibling in my family, and my parents are divorced, both remarried, have been for since I was a little kid. And both of my fathers are terminally ill.
Mm.
So I am spending a lot of time doing what I can for my family and putting my parents first and just valuing that time together but also spreading myself very thin. And
Yeah.
I'm doing that for a purpose, I feel like, because you're only going to have that for so long. So, I mean, is it okay to put yourself behind sometimes for other reasons? Because I'm definitely falling behind in my own projects and my own goals and things that I wanted to get done with my summer because of this. But I feel like I'll be grateful that I did what I did because I am taking that time to make it, make it valuable.
I don't think putting your projects or your passions or anything on the back burner to take care of your family, if you feel, as long as you feel that you're not doing it from obligation, but you truly, at a soul level, like, okay, I really want to do this for my fathers, and I see the value in this, and it's going to bring me joy, and it's going to bring me, not joy, you know what I mean? It's going to
Well,
bring
there's a
peace to
level that's
me.
obviously going to be
Right.
obligation just
Right.
because like
Well,
certain
yeah, there's
things
a
are like,
little bit of obligation, but
you
yeah.
know,
But if
but
you didn't, sometimes people have a bad relationship with their parents and they don't want to ever be anywhere around them and they feel obligated to do it anyway, and then they're grumpy about it the whole time. I think it's okay to put your projects, your whatever on the back burner temporarily, as long as everything that you do to out of obligation is still sits right, still feels right to you. You're not forcing yourself through anything. Do you know what I mean? You're
yeah.
not, you're, it's a yes. Do I want to would I rather be, doing my passion? Yes, of course. But do I still feel good in my body about doing this? And if the answer is yes, then that's okay. It's not that you're not putting yourself first, because when you tap into yourself and you tap into your body and you tap into your inner knowing, you're still putting yourself first. You're not sacrificing your feelings or your sanity or anything like that for something else. You're still tapping into you. Always take a quick breath, tap into yourself, and then make the decision. Then take the step or say the thing or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Does that help?
Yeah. Because sometimes you
Yeah.
feel guilty, like
Yes. Yes.
like I
Yeah.
should be doing this for me and I should be getting
Right.
this done. And I said,
Right.
I'm going to start teaching this year for the first time and be like, and I just got done with a remodel. So I'm trying, like, I got to
Yeah.
put
Oh
my
my
house back
goodness.
together and I'm
So
going to set up my
much.
class. Like, there's just so much right now. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
really hard to navigate how to make it happen. And maybe you don't get to make everything happen, but like some things are priority.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I don't know. It's hard not to overextend yourself when you have levels of that going on.
And tapping into yourself and finding moments for yourself and magic for yourself doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing where you like set out your altar and you do this and you do, all that. It can be as simple as when you're stirring your coffee in the morning, just go within and just be like, as I stir this, I, stir some intentions into it or whatever, and then drink it and just take the 5 minutes for yourself. You're still putting yourself first in that moment. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It doesn't
Yeah,
have to
that's
be a
good
big
advice.
elaborate thing. Yeah.
Right.
Doing the dishes, I'm going to ground myself as I'm doing these dishes. I'm going to really, and weirdly, I'm guessing it's the water. I get a lot of messages and downloads when I do dishes. So just silence yourself and just, the smallest little thing, just be mindful in everything that you do and tap into your inner knowing in even the smallest little things. And all
Thank you.
those
I
little small
appreciate
things
that.
add up. You're welcome. Yes, shoulding ourselves is hard.
I love that.
Really
I always
hard.
tell, don't should on me. Like, don't should
Yeah,
on others. Like, I'll should
exactly,
on myself
exactly.
just to
Yeah.
don't should on myself enough.
Exactly, exactly. Joanna says you'll feel an F yes or an F no in your body. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
When you really tap
totally.
in, yeah, you really do feel it when you kind of silence all the outside noise and all the shoulds. You do listen. You tap into it and you get it.
Can I say something else too
Yes,
that's
of
bubbling up
course.
for me? Like
Yeah.
I have found over time, like I'm really good at making myself a victim. Like, oh, woe is me. I have all this stuff going on. This really sucks for me, you know. Um, and you know, can um what I've realized is like when I think about the choices that I'm making and that I'm actually in control of it, it helps me feel a lot more empowered again. So not nearly as dire of a situation that you're in, Lindsay, but my youngest son is almost 20, but he's still not driving. And there's a lot of reasons why he doesn't drive. He has a lot of health and mental health issues and has had some like really big major struggles. So I haven't really felt like I should push him to drive and things like that. But I also want to make sure that that doesn't limit him in the things that he wants to do. And he's always been very anti-school. And
Mhm.
last fall, he decided he wanted to go to a technical school, but it was like half hour away when like there was no traffic. And of course, all his classes were like high traffic time. So I ended up driving him to school 4 days a week, and it would take at least 2 hours out of my day. And I started to really get like super stressed about it, about what it was taking from me and the things that I wanted to focus on and things like that. And then I ended up having my guides ask me like, well, what do you value about bringing your son to school? And would you make the same choice? Like if he, you know, if you could plan ahead for next semester or whatever, would you still say yes to this? And it really made me think about like what I valued and the choices that I was making. Because I was like making it out to be I have no control over my schedule. It like, you know, I'm basically like I'm a complete victim here, even though that's not what I was actually saying, you know, to my life and the circumstances, and my life is everybody else's was basically what I was saying. But then I realized I actually really, really value him going to school and the choices that he made, and the fact that he's done so many things to help his mental health. And I would never push him to, you know, overextend himself in a way that would push him into like a bad situation again. I would keep driving that kid for 5 more years, you know, like, is it really where I want my attention to go? Did I have things on the back burner? Sure. But it made me feel a lot more empowered in that choice, because I realized I was actually making a choice, and it was a choice that I would keep making. And so there's been other things where I'm like, is that a choice I would make again? And my answer has been, more to Joanna's point, has been a fuck no, I would not do that again. And then I'm able to shift, you know, what I would do going forward. So I do love that barometer as the F yes and the F no as
Mhm.
well. But I wanted to throw that out there for you, Lindsay, but anyone
Yeah,
else too.
well, thank you for saying that because that actually meant a lot, that what do you value? Because part of what I'm doing right now for my bio dad, because he really doesn't have a lot of time left, is we did one of those tell your own story books, but I wrote the story instead of using the book and only having a couple lines to write, you know. So we did a lot of interviewing and picture gathering and just all the things. And so I composed it into this book, and now I just learned how to make my own hardcovers, and now I have to like make these book, you know, because he wants that tangible book. I'm like, well, it's more valuable to me to just do it than try to figure how do I send it off to a publisher and spend money. And you know, so I went on Prime Days and bought all the supplies, and I'm figuring how do I make these covers and get all this thing put together. But it is a lot of time, and it is a lot of like, this is what I'm doing with my summer now when I could be doing other things, but I really do put a lot of value on it because like it brings him such joy, and he's so proud of it and happy with it, and like feels like he got to tell his story, and that is really valuable. So that actually meant a lot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's beautiful what you're doing. Yeah.
And it's kind of like take off the victim glasses. I could be doing this, right? And put on the empowered woman or person glasses, right? And Amber, you got to spend extra time with your son, you know? And Lindsay, you're getting to spend extra time, and now you're going to have this beautiful book, right? Like,
Mhm.
so when you really come more from a place of empowerment instead of a place of a victim, it kind of changes that too, you know?
Yeah, no, I feel very fortunate that I've been able to
Mm-hmm.
being in education, having this time off at exactly the right time to be able to spend all that time with him to get this
Yeah.
put together.
Yeah,
So,
that's beautiful. Oh,
The other
thank you for
stuff will fall into
sharing.
place, right?
Yeah, that's the thing because you're following your guidance, right? Your inner compass, and it's everything else will fall into place. It will
Yeah,
when it's meant to, you
right.
know? Yeah. Thank you so
Well,
much for
thank you guys.
sharing.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for your advice.
of course. Anyone else?
We have
I
time for
love
another
the back and
question?
forth. Yes, of course. I love the back and forth.
For either one of you guys, I just when you're stirring the intentions, I love that saying. That was kind of cool. Are you writing it? Are you saying it? Are you thinking it? Or all three? Or what is your formula?
I am Well, sometimes I say it. It depends on like how many of the kids are around. Like some of them are like, "Oh, mom's just being her witchy self." And then other times I either say it to myself, but I also feel it. So I say it or think it and I feel it. Because saying it only has so much power. I mean, words do have power, but I really feel into it instead of, this, I'm gonna have a really good day with my coffee, as I'm starting my coffee, right? I'm like, no, I need to, okay, I'm going to have a good day and, all that. So it's really more about how you feel as well, So feel your intentions.
So, I mean, what does that look like? I mean, or what is that? I mean, tell me a little bit more about that if you can. Like,
Um, I literally stop and take a breath and I just feel, okay, what is it? So if I have an intention of, I don't know, a meeting with my kid's teacher go well, right? Like maybe he was being bullied or something at school or whatever. And I have an intention of that going well instead of them attacking me or whatever, right? I really I stop myself, I take a deep breath, and I feel what that's going to feel like. It's going to be an easy exchange. We're gonna, go back and forth and we're gonna have some resolution or whatever, instead of feeling, oh my God, they're gonna attack me, they're gonna say I'm a bad mom, they're gonna, you know what I mean? So really
yeah, yeah,
feel what your actual intention is. It's kind of like it's make believe, but it's just, feel into that's how you can it, control it.
love it. Thank you.
Yes, Christine, that's part of manifesting, exactly. Yeah. Manifest the life that you want. It's
I've
not.
been seeing it, just and stuff like that. I've been feeling it, and I've been
Hmm.
working on the manifesting. We've been working on, and that's been great, and just
Hmm.
it's really helped. So now I'm trying to turn it up a notch again.
Yes.
So I like
What
that.
really turned it up for me was the feeling it, really tapping into, okay, if I want this amount of money or whatever, it's not about the money. What am I going to do with the money? Oh, well, I'd be able to, do this and do that. What is that going to feel like to travel? What is it going to feel like to give my kids everything that they need? What is it going to feel like to put my kids through college and they don't have to worry about it? What is that going to feel like? Um, and allow yourself to kind of daydream and just sit in that daydream feeling of like, um, this is what it feels like, and run a movie through your mind if you want. Get creative, use your imagination, which is also your intuition, and create that and envision it and just feel it. Because you can create mood boards all day long and like get pretty pictures off of Pinterest or whatever, but if you're not feeling what you're creating, it's not going to happen, or it's going to take a long, long time and it's going to be a lot more harder. What would it look like, feel like, and make it real for yourself? Yep. See it, feel it, taste it, hear it, sense it. Yep. Like you already have it. Exactly. Yep.
Are you
Just,
dealing with the stuff you're just looking at what you want. You're not thinking about getting rid of that old feeling. You're just like, this is what I'm gonna feel like.
I personally I don't like to sit in the um shadow healing, like I've got to deal with this shadow all the time. Like I'll sit with my shadow for a hot minute and then I'll be like, okay, you served your purpose, now bounce.
Yeah.
But, and then I replace it with the good feeling. And then when I have that good feeling, the shadow doesn't really have any room. It knows it's not welcome. I've already sat with it, asked what it needed to teach me, learned the lesson, and then told it to go.
Yeah.
And then I replace it with the good. So then there's no room for the shadow, you
Nice.
know?
Yeah, that's great. Thank
Yeah,
you
turn
very
the
much.
movie. You're welcome. Turn the movie into Technicolor and the best sounds and the best sensations. Yes, like just the best movie ever. The universe provides when we truly create the burning desire. Yes. We have to feel it. Yep. Yeah. Awesome. I love the conversations. Thank you guys. I love the back and forth. So if you want to name your own leaks, your own like energetic leaks, I invite you to grab my free energy leak checklist. Amber's going to throw a link in the chat. And I made this, it's just a one-page checklist, super simple. And I made it as a mirror. It's a soft, sacred way to spot where your energy is leaking and help you seal it without shame. I give you different things to think of instead of what is causing the energy leak. So let's do, unless anybody else has any other thoughts they'd like to share, let's do a quick little closing ritual. Place a hand anywhere on your body that feels true. I usually like my heart and my sacral. Inhale and exhale. And whisper to yourself, I am allowed to keep my energy. It's all mine. All right. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me. You are sacred. You are not too much. You're not extra. And you don't have to obey to be loved. Contrary to what we've been taught. Thank you so much. Bye.